Hi, it's Corinne from My Chemical Free House, and this video is about my top picks for non-toxic, healthiest wood look flooring. And some of them are actually wood, but flooring that you would use that is clicked together, which is the healthiest one. So my top pick is engineered wood, and it does have real wood on the top, so that is the definition of engineered wood. It does need to have that real wood layer as the top layer, and then it has engineered wood of different types that I'm going to show as the base. So this one is the most common type of engineered wood. It's my top pick overall, partly because it's the easiest one to find. It's not that there aren't, there is one other type of engineered wood I like, but this is the easiest one to find, and it's great. The plywood is, or the ply layer is made with phenol formaldehyde, but it does off-gas really fast. Multiple companies have tested showing almost no formaldehyde. You can't say no formaldehyde because wood naturally contains formaldehyde, but they've shown that the glues have off-gassed by the time it gets to the consumer. So the ply has to go to the flooring manufacturer, and they have to add the top layer, and then they have to add the, you know, all the parts to it, and then it has to get to the dealer or to the store, so, and then to you. And so it will be off-gassed by that time. So, and then we've got our top layer, and then the only thing to think about there is possibly the top coat, which we'll look at in a second. So two other types of engineered wood also have, this is another one called solid slat, or I've seen it called quarter sawn. So as you can see from this side, it's rather confusing what it is. We've got our real wood top layer, and then it looks like we have just a solid wood layer. Then there's maybe a stabilizing layer at the bottom, but it's confusing from that side. And then here you can see that the wood is cut, so there's less glue in this, but and you may prefer that, so you may want to track this type down, but it's definitely harder to find. And I'm going to list, I'll list at least one brand in the description, but the blog post on engineered wood goes into many different options and the price ranges and places where you could buy them online. You don't have to buy them online, but that could be handy, especially during the pandemic. And the third type is not as good for a healthy home, in my opinion. So the third type, so this is still an engineered wood. It's still got a layer of real wood on top. The middle is HDF, high density fiberboard. So that has more formaldehyde. It's made of wood fiber and formaldehyde glue. There's a few other little things in there, but those are the main two ingredients. And there might be a stabilizing layer of wood on the bottom, but that's the core of it. And it just off-gasses more formaldehyde. So why go for that when there are other options? The ply is my favorite option, easy to find. You can find it at really low price points, and the main difference, of course, there's the species of wood and the quality of the wood, but the main difference in price is going to depend on the thickness of that top layer. So if you want to go, you can see you barely find where the top layer is on this one because it just looks like the ply. And that could be good. You won't be able to resand it when it's super thin, but some people are replacing flooring in a rental, and you know, the owner says go ahead if you have chemical sensitivities, or you want to pick something healthy that the owner isn't paying for and you just want something cheap. You won't be able to resand that, but it's still a really healthy floor, really healthy floor. And in terms of the wood of the base, the plywood is almost always pine, spruce, fir. So there are some people that are very sensitive. Chemically sensitive folks often can become really sensitive to the odor of wood. And so you may want to avoid that. But if you're not sensitive to wood, don't worry about that. But there is one brand that I'll link that doesn't use pine, spruce, fir. It uses eucalyptus. So that one could be really good. Maybe it's better for you, I don't know, but get a sample for sure of both. And the solid wood, it could cut down on just the natural odor of the wood. Now the top layer does, the top coating does do a lot to seal in the natural odors, and that's another reason people like. And it's the same with solid wood. So this, you know, of course, I love solid wood, and you can't go wrong. I labeled it birch, but I mean, you can't. I mean, of course, solid wood I prefer in many ways, but there's benefits even to engineered wood. So price is one of them that I think most people want, like a really low cost wood look floor now, and I'm trying to get people more away from vinyl, which I'm going to get to. But solid wood is of course great, and they usually have the same top coat. So usually they both, this one actually you can see it's really shiny, and they start to look a little bit like plastic. This one's really obvious. There are other ones that it might be even more obvious. So that's a UV cured polyurethane, so it is a water-based, UV cured, so no off-gassing, with aluminum oxide. And when you get many layers there, and with the aluminum oxide, you start to get that look that's like very durable, very shiny, but also a little bit, for me, it's a little bit plastic. There is one brand that I know of, and let me know if you know others, because there's so many brands out there, but there is one brand that uses a UV cured polyurethane with no aluminum oxide. Now I do think the aluminum oxide is safe because it's in there, it's in solid form, but long term, you know, when you might have to sand it in the future and you maybe don't want that aluminum. Some people don't. That's not a suggestion, just some people don't. I'm actually pretty okay with it, but if I could avoid it, sure. There's a third, so I would say all the UV polyurethanes are essentially zero VOC, no off-gassing. Some brands, I don't have an example here, but some brands have an oil stain as the top coat, but there are different ones. Some of them are UV cured, which always helps with the curing process and speeding up the off-gassing, but some of them use different brands. I've seen Waka, I've seen various ones, and you also have to look at, if it's an oil, you definitely have to look at what the maintenance oil is, because there might be some kind of maintenance oil that you need to use. So check that out, make sure you do well with it. And so those are the two main top coats. There's two main top coats, let's keep it simple, and three main styles with our slats, our plywood, which is great for most people, and our HDF. So HDF is actually very similar to laminate. Well, laminate is HDF, I should say. Let me get a better view. I'm sorry. So laminate is essentially HDF with a printed image on top. This is a pretty good one. Like, I mean, it's a certain look, it's a certain faded look, but it's fairly realistic when you see it from far away, and there are some really good quality ones now. They're really trying to compete. But we have our HDF core, which for me, it just off-gasses too much. I mean, if you're really healthy or you know, that's not really a big deal, but when there are better options, and of course many people that read my blog are chemically sensitive, and so I think that the off-gassing there is a challenge. And also, if you're going to go with the off-gassing, I know this one does have a real wood layer on top, so there is an incentive to want to buy that one, but you're getting the off-gassing of laminate when you go with the engineered with HDF. So and just keep in mind that laminate only refers to this type of flooring with HDF, a printed image on top, and a melamine layer of plastic, a thin layer of melamine plastic on top, which you can barely even tell, you know. So which I don't believe the top layer has off-gassing, but I do find I can pick up the off-gassing very, very clearly, and it's higher than any other of these wood look floors that I've ever seen. So there's one more that's a little bit of a hybrid. So this one does have, it's called a hybrid. So this one has a real wood on top. It's very thin though, so it often has these markings that you can see. And so here's the side view profile. It's not so thin that it's almost invisible, but the core is SPC, so that's the vinyl and stone composite. So SPC stands for stone polymer composite, and that's limestone and PVC vinyl, and then there's just like a plastic underlayment on the bottom. So this doesn't have a ton of off-gassing for sure. It's a very, very low, and now this is very comparable to, and the top coats don't usually either, but may want to definitely check out samples if you're chemically sensitive. So this is, sorry, I've been painting on it, but this is vinyl. So luxury vinyl plank is definitely the most common, most popular flooring right now, which is, people just love it because it's waterproof and so durable, and it's cheap. It's you know, it's hard to beat you can't beat all those three things. So this has that same stone polymer composite, or stone plastic composite sometimes called. So limestone and PVC in the middle, and a bit of a softer PVC layer on top compared to the middle. This one has cork on the bottom. That's not super common at all, but there is some off-gassing in the cork because there's some glues there. However, it's underneath everything else, which really blocks it. So whether that's an issue for you, I don't know. But and I do pick up some off-gassing there. Sorry about the paint. And there are some brands that show, you know, they've tested it in detail and shown some of the VOC levels. It's linked to in my main flooring post, which I could link to below here too. So I do pick up some off-gassing this, although my main concern, because that goes down relatively quickly, is the plasticizers. We've eliminated phthalates, the most known problematic one, or we know that it's problematic, from almost every brand. There is still one brand that's quite well known that uses them, but we've replaced it with a plasticizer that we believe so far is safer. But you know, I'd really like, you know, it's with time and with more studies over time that we see that these aren't always as safe as we thought. So I'm not like afraid of vinyl, like I've lived in apartments with it. But if I was building something or renovating and I have the option of anything, I'm still gonna go with my engineered wood. Like, it doesn't always have to be 100% waterproof. I know we all got really into that idea with when vinyl came out. So the hybrid does have that same stone, I can't see from that side, has that same stone composite core, but I find that by eliminating that little bit softer vinyl top, you've eliminated some of the off-gassing. I do believe that wood is going to, because plasticizers are not gases the way that formaldehyde and VOCs are, so I do believe that wood is actually quite a barrier. I mean, I don't know that there are any studies on it, but I would be keen to see if there are any, if this product becomes more popular. This is a really nice one. I'll link one of the hybrid brands too. It's kind of a cool best of both worlds. Like, if you need the bottom to be totally waterproof, and you want to kind of block those plasticizers and still have really low off-gassing of VOCs. So those are the options. Engineered wood is usually going to be my favorite, especially for an upper level floor. Of course, there's one more wood look that I don't have here, which is tile, like ceramic tile that looks like wood. That's just a plain non-off-gassing material. It's really, really safe. But and I'm sure you've seen ceramic tile. It's porcelain tile, sorry, which is a type of ceramic. But super safe. It's just you usually can't use that on an upper level floor, or you don't want to. In most areas of North America or Canada and the US at least, we don't use tile on an upper level, or your floor might not be strong enough to hold it. But that is a wood look floor that is super safe, and you can definitely use that on a lower level of a concrete slab, or in a basement, which also has a concrete slab under it. So those are my top picks. I prefer engineered wood, but there are many choices that are good. Okay, I'll link to the engineered post. Has a lot of detail on brands and prices, and they can start from really, really low. And then my main flooring post has a bit more of the other types and brands. Okay, bye.